Y en ese sentido, vamos a continuar con el taller seleccionado de nuestro Call for Speakers, que se titula AI is not a buzzword anymore, lessons from MCP, Case Studies. Esta es una actividad en inglés que está realizada por Ioannis Papadakis, Head of QI en Snappi.
Hello, Ioannis.
Hello, hola.
Hola. Thank you for joining us today. Are you connecting from Greece?
Yeah, I'm in Greece. Yeah,
Okay.
it's crazy the distance that we have. Oh my God! But I think it's great to be here today. So
Thank you. So welcome to Testearla.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for for the opportunity to join and try to contribute to the conference. Thank you very much.
Okay, the stage is all yours when you want.
Thank you. Yeah, we can start. I hope you see my screen. So today I'm going to talk with a story. It will be a theoretical story, but I'm trying to cover where we were before as a QA community and where we are heading to the future. And I think the future is already here, and the changes we are facing using AI nowadays and how it's shaping our industry. It's like with the crazy, you will see, we passed too many layers in the previous decades, and the working with AI and working with different methodologies was so different back then up until now. But before going there, I'm going to play a video first about my company. I'm working at Snappi as a head of QA. So I wanted just to give you a hint because it's the first neobank operating in Greece, and we launched actually yesterday. So I'm particularly proud about this because it was an effort of months and months, and it's the first neobank in Europe and specifically in Greece. So, Yassas, hola, hello. I'm based in Athens, as we talk about. I love everything that touches engineering and product. I'm a Grafana champion. I'm also working in different ambassador programs, like one from Lambda Test as well. I really love public speaking, and that's why I'm here today with you. I love hiking and fishing. I'm not this little guy, by the way. I just took this jeep from somewhere. I really love to go fishing sometimes. First of all, welcome to Greece. I don't know if anyone from the audience came to Greece before, but we are a lovely country with a lot of islands, with a lot of history. And just about this corner, make an introduction about my country a little bit before continuing next. So, 1 second.
Hello! Welcome to Greece, where history comes to life. Acropolis! Theater was born on a stage like this. Wow! Will we meet the 12 gods? You will eat like the gods. You'll have adventures like Hercules. It is safe wherever you go. And then have fun on the beach. I can't wait for the holidays. Hello, Greece.
Really nice. I really love these promo videos all the time when I'm playing them. But specifically, it's about my country. I would love to have anybody from the audience joining Greece. And we're also having a very big tech conferences as well organized here every year. So this is just some of my conferences that I have already spoken in the past. I was speaking in GrafanaCon, one of the biggest in DevOps area. We have Automation Star, which is from Eurostar. We have a WeTest, which is a Greek company. A Greek conference. Sorry, Testing United and Selenium. More recently, I traveled to Valencia, Spain, and I did a talk in Selenium about observability. So, but today, let's go one step ahead and talk about the agenda. So the first thing is we're going to talk about what's the state of test automation. where we started and where we are heading, right? The second part is to cover the trends. What are the most emerging trends nowadays? And actually, it's kind of great to see where other companies are achieving and what are they are using. So we'll slowly go to the future directions in a nutshell to see where we are heading to, based always on what the AI capabilities can actually improve in the QA era. And we'll talk about the MCP case studies, which already there are a lot of companies, there are a lot of communities investing more and more. It's not about MCP. I think if someone would say MCP is just a history, now we have AI agents, we have bots, we have a sort of other AI capabilities that actually overpassing MCP, right? And in the end, any questions around my talk, would love to hear from the audience and collaborate with them. So let's start with some basic history, because I really love to see where we were before, searching a little bit the current situation, the current, let's say, era when it comes to quality assurance. So in 1940, it is when all started, right? In the 40s and the 50s, back then, the concept of software testing just emerged, and it began with the development of the first computers, right? During the World War II, initial testing was informal, and it's actually focused primarily of ensuring if the hardware is functioning correctly or not. So some early practices. Anyone raise hand or just give me an emoji if you know this book, the Quality Control Handbook. Anyone? No? Okay. In 51, Joseph Juran, considered the father of software testing, so emphasized the importance of quality assurance in this book. There are a lot of editions of this book. I think the third edition came out in 1974. The entire field of the quality control has undergone a very radical change. There are a lot of regulations, government regulations changed all the way. In 58, we had Gerald, you will see here, formed the first testing team for the Project Mercury, which was the first human spaceflight program in the USA. So it was like the first time they formulate a testing team in NASA in order to, to test and make the proper quality checks and controls for the spaceflight program. So the evolution of testing techniques come in 60s and the 70s. After that, we saw the testing evolve from debugging to a more structured approach. We had beta testing that was a common practice back then. It was allowing end users to test programs. In the 80s, there was the rise of the user-friendly software, or the GUIs, right? And actually, this is graphical user interfaces. So all this new software came in at that point. They needed to evolve how we are testing our software. And why I'm talking about this, let's start with some other facts. If you know this is Thomas Edison in 1878. He invented, I wouldn't say invented, but introduced the term bug. Initially, he was referring to hardware faults, right? And computer bug, the first computer bug, came out by Grace Murray Hopper in 1945, which was in the World War II. And let's go to the modern era, right? If you see here, there are a lot of stages. I really like to see where we were before, because there were a lot of time periods in order to change how we are doing the testing, how the software testing evolves. Nowadays, every couple of months, you see a new AI methodology or a new AI bot came in, or something is changing very radically. But back then, it was like so slow the way that the changes were made, and we know why, right? Because we had very limitations in the technology, and now everything is more open and more radical. So we started with the manual testing, as you see here, and back in the 80s and 90s was the waterfall methodology, which was, it's like becoming as a trend again in some way, because AI can is killing agile. I don't know if you heard about this, but everybody is talking about AI, how it's killing the agility. You don't need agile anymore methodology, and you can create anything yourself, and you can have this waterfall methodology back again in the software development, which I don't actually trust. That it's becoming also a must in our software development. So when we started to have the waterfall methodology, we went there to the first bulk automation tools came in the 90s. The late 90s, so we experimented with different development approaches. After that, the first 10 years of the new millennia, we had more robust automation tools, more faster release cycles. We have the DevOps methodologies came in, and after that, in 2010, you see that continuous testing, continuous integration, all these terms were really a must and a need in order to evolve how we are building our software and how we are testing our software. And now we have the new area of the autonomous testing. You're using AI, Gen AI, everything that's AI, agentic AI, we will talk about later. What all these new approaches are trying to do, they need more faster releases, less manual work from our teams. Why? Because we have absence of end-to-end requirements, and this is actually a necessity. We don't have visibility on that, have a very high volume of tests, and these actual problems. In order to solve these problems, the industry must go towards the autonomous testing. It's ensuring that we have zero-touch QA, but it's a revolution for us. It's a game changer maybe from the industry. At its core, Gen AI, all we know, it's an LLM model capable of generating a vast amount of outputs. It can undergo and do self-healing tests. It can generate valid tests based on business requirements. All this idea of using Gen AI to do this, it's a little bit daunting for people like us. They are not going to kill the QA people or fire persons or anything, because you need the people to adjust these new methodologies within the development. So why the idea it's a little bit daunting? Because of its complexity. Understanding basics when it comes to all these AI fancy terminologies, we will see that it's a massive potential that it holds for the QA people. Its power to create, adapt, and generate tests, based on the specific needs of the system, it's enormous, and everybody needs that. But before diving into AI, I want to take some time to see what are the trends, because it's not only about AI, right? Everything is AI, but in the beginning, we have a lot of different capabilities out there that we are trying to solve. And a sample, so you'll see quality control, it's in the basics in 2025, but there are different pillars when it comes to the trends. And this is what we're going to cover first. It's the hyper-automation. If you know that as a terminology, it continues. It's not a new thing, a new kid in the block, but it continues to dominate the software testing scene because new test automation tools or old ones are evolving. They are enabling more complex processes to be tested without human intervention at all. So hyper-automation uses AI as a backbone of their philosophy, and they are using also machine learning. And what they are trying to do, they are trying to automate almost every aspect of the software testing lifecycle. So if we see that there are AI, there are machine learning, social, robotic, process automation. If anyone heard about this, it's a way to automate repetitive tasks. It's enhancing the testing accuracy. So the RPA, it's actually a technology that uses, as we say, robots or bots in order to automate really repetitive tasks, rule-based tasks, and that are usually performed by humans or computers. In simple forms, what these bots are trying to do, they are trying to mimic human actions, like you do some clicks, copy pasting, navigating to the system, but they do it really much faster They are not having any breaks. Everything is synchronized. We have less flackiness. We have fewer errors. So a lot of examples that we can use RPA nowadays. We can log into the system, extract the data. You can move files and folders around. You can fill out forms. Repetitive tasks that you are doing every day in your day-to-day tasks, generating reports, updating databases. It's really beneficial when it comes to efficiency. They are working really tightly. Their bots are working 24/7, and they complete tasks really quickly and really fast. They are very accurate. You don't have any flackiness. You don't have any errors. It's cost saving when it comes to manual labor. It can reduce the labor, and we have scalability. It's very easy to deploy these bots as needed. So there are popular tools nowadays like UiPath. I think there is a Blueprint. It's also from Microsoft. We have the Power Automate. So there are processes that are running as bots internally can use in order to have less manual labor during the day. But it's not only that. It comes to also how we generate test cases with AI-driven functionality. So we can predict scenarios, generate test cases, and we can improve as well the test coverage. And the last one that hyperautomation can actually achieve is the self-healing mechanisms. So you can make your tests more reliable, right? The most important rule here is that we have tests that can be flaky, they can break because we have different factors. And the self-healing mechanism is something that a lot of tools nowadays are trying to resolve and achieve. And I think one of the techniques of the hyperautomation is towards the self-healing aspect of the test automation. So let's continue with this very simple video from RPA.
Meet Sam, an office worker. At one time, her job was totally tiring, completely complicated, and rather repetitive. Gathering things from this system and that, cutting and pasting invoice data from spreadsheets and documents, doing everything by herself. At home, this put her ficus in a frenzy and traumatized her turtle. It was not a happy scene. But that all changed when Sam's company adopted RPA. What's that, you ask? It's robotic process automation. With RPA, you can create software bots. We call them digital workers. They record and mimic human digital actions and set them up to do simple, repetitive tasks for you. They can do things like copying and pasting information from different applications, reading and verifying invoice data, organizing spreadsheets, and much more. It didn't take long to set up, and soon Sam got her own team of digital coworkers who could do the things that she dreads. All those time-consuming, repetitive, and mundane things. Things that are holding her back from doing what she feels is going to add more value to her work. This is the power of intelligent automation, and it lets you work smarter, not harder. With RPA, Sam is able to focus on key initiatives critical to the business and collaborate better with her team. All of this made her very productive and definitely happy. Think of digital coworkers as the team to automate and accelerate your organization's business processes, so workers just like Sam can have time to focus on the important things at work, and even more importantly, the things at home. With intelligent automation from Automation Anywhere.
I really love these videos because they are very simplistic and they can give us the idea of what the RPA is. For me, it's not about only testing, it's about simplifying how we're doing testing, right? Now, I will go to the next trend, which somehow it's covered from other talks earlier. It's the shift left methodology, or right. So personally, I came from a background that I tried to change the shift left testing approach, what we're doing within our organization, different organizations. Back 2-3 years before, I was working in a software company internally that we were working together with the software engineers very closely. So shift left is about changing the culture together with your engineering teams, bringing the testing activities earlier within the teams and making sure you are fostering this culture within your organization. So everybody that tried this at least from my side, I don't know if it is always successful, but for me, it's not successful as I was imagining, because you imagine that all the teams are working towards a quality-oriented approach. You have a test-driven development approach, and everything is mature at some point, but it's not always the case when you have the product pressuring for new features, for new delivery, and the delivery cycle needs to be very fast. For me, cultivating the testing methodologies within the organization is always a challenging part in terms of the cultural shift, not the actual development. But what we do with the shift right approach is that we can improve shift left by actually extending our testing in a more production-oriented environment. So you have canary releases, deployments. It can easily be formulating a testing activity towards the production systems. So we can use A/B testing, canary releases, Brooklyn deployments, so we can collect user feedback in a more production-ready approach. We can have active monitoring systems, so we can gather performance information. We can identify faults to ensure software satisfies all the real-world requirements. So shifting right, it's actually a different part of shifting left, but it's also mandatory for the software companies to have less friction, let's say, in production systems. Now, shift left continues to gain traction. There are different reasons, as we say here. We have early bug detection, which is very important to anybody, improve collaboration, and enhance product quality. So earlier, the sooner you do it earlier, the better for us. And we need to foster a DevOps mindset, a more agile mindset, where all the developers are working together with your QA engineers in an environment that reduces bottlenecks and enhances the workflow. Now, as I say here, more of these pillars comes to test-driven development. It's a practice for shift left. We already know everybody. We have this continuous integration, continuous deployment, more release cycles when it comes to that. We need to integrate within its build, automatically trigger our pipelines on every code commit. This practice is really a must when it comes to support a constant feedback loop, identify issues right away. What I see here, it's actually not something new, but it's already a trend even in 2025. Now we're talking about AI. These are basic concepts like having shift left testing didn't actually fly away. It was already here, and it's actually meant here as a practice for the development. The challenges, as we said, is always the cultural shift and the upfront investment. Like teams may need to invest time to achieve shift left testing, and the business people need to be aware that we need to have this enabled in our teams. So what we have with continuous testing, which is also a trend, faster releases, we reduce risk, testing continuously, we get to know each other, that we continuously release through the development teams, we catch issues earlier, we are lowering the risk for having faulty software. We need to increase the efficiency, and how we're doing that? By just automating repetitive tests. The teams can actually focus on more complex aspects. So we can do usability testing, non-functional testing like performance. And this is actually coming as a must. So someone would say the whole thing of continuous testing will help to benefit and focus on other aspects and other areas of testing in the software lifecycle. Now, automated testing, of course, we need to pick the right tools. The tools that are easily covered here based on the DevOps methodologies, and based popular tools like GitLab CI or Circle CI or GitHub, whatever the development teams are working on. We need to do performance monitoring when we are doing continuous testing. It's really important. We need to monitor. We heard in the previous talk like Dynatrace, we have New Relic, you have different platforms out there. Observability and monitoring should be also a cultural shift for the QA teams and the development teams. They need to be able to track memory usage, for example, response times, different SLOs and SLAs. So there are different objectives here when it comes to performance monitoring. But we need to have in mind the performance optimization all the time when we have continued cycles of testing. And we have the service virtualization, which is often requires the entire application environment. So when that's available, the service visualization tools can actually simulate different parts of the system. So we can allow tests if not the whole environment is actually up and running for our teams. So it's very important to have as much as possible service virtualization. You can use Kubernetes, you can use different, let's say, techniques and tools in order to simulate that, but this is a must. Now, to effectively adopt continuous testing, we need to have some strategies behind, automate early and often. We need to have that in mind, integrate with CI/CD pipelines, and we need to appropriate and effectively manage our data. We need to have realistic data sets when we are testing. We need to have accuracy and enhance accuracy without compromising any data privacy. With the advantages, while the advantages are really clear here, the continuous testing has its flaws. We have the complexity when it comes to the tools. So we need to have some knowledge around the tools, especially if they are DevOps tools. The QA community needs to be aware and using these tools all the time. And they are also resource intensive. So there are automated tests running continuously, and resources are not infinite. So you need to make sure and prioritize and actually what are the computational resources for you. So according to a survey, I think companies implementing continuous testing can achieve up to 40%. This is actually some insights from a survey, can achieve up to 40% faster deployment speeds. So you provide this value that everybody needs at the end of the day. Now, the big reveal, we talked about all of this. You are not telling us anything about MCP and case studies, right? So let's deep dive now in the AI and clear a little bit the picture where we are, because for me, I went to a lot of conferences nowadays, and from last year, I'm really losing what we have and what we're trying to achieve with AI here. So there are different buzzwords when it comes to AI. You have seen Gen AI, a couple of years before, like last year or the previous year. So we have machine learning, which is not new. Everything is started from machine learning, by the way. We have AI agents, we have agentic AI, we have the model context protocol, we have AI bots or agentic bots that are, if you have multiple MCP servers, they can connect all together and communicate all these MCP servers that are automating different aspects. It's a hell of a nightmare. We have a lot of things, but we need to know where we are and how we can use them. How the leadership of the QA can actually also help to make the leap towards AI. It's a little bit a question here for the leadership, but what we are trying to do, we need to build a future-ready QA team, right? And the QA team is changing through all these AI different techniques that are coming in. We need to adopt and simply very fast adopt our teams on this critical period of time. We need to do upskilling. We need to invest in the right tools and the platforms. This is true. We need to create feedback loops between everybody within the software organization, QA, the development teams, and the product. And actually, we need to lead with empathy when it comes to QA and AI. And this is a radical change in the way that we're shifting our industry. It's actually very hard, especially for a lot of people, right? So Gen AI, we have different LLM models nowadays. Every couple of period of time, we have a new model coming in with a more trained data set. We have co-pilots here, we have the GitHub, what all these are trying to do, and actually we are experimenting in our daily lives. We need to reduce how we are developing our code base, how we are developing our tests. Everybody's having GitHub Copilot now in their development environments, how they are doing their testing or the development. It's actually increasing the productivity of the things, but they need to be aware how they are using all these LLMs efficiently. We are going to see a little bit down later the prompt engineering techniques. There are different techniques when it comes to use an LLM model. It's super powerful how to use the natural language to actually guide the LLM and the model to do what you are trying to do at the end of the day. So we have increased the coverage, consistency in testing quality, learning and improvement, integration with CI/CD pipelines. You see terminologies that we already seen before, but all these Gen AI try to do what we covered as emerging trends or the trends of 2025, which we already know everybody. So what the AI is doing is trying to just increase the continuous testing or the coverage without manual labor. They're trying to make the continuous deployment much faster. So they are integrating the continuous deployment pipelines. So it's a perfect fit when it comes to DevOps practices, and increase as much as possible the productivity of the QA engineer nowadays to build a more robust solutions. Now, there were in the beginning, but a lot of challenges when it comes to Gen AI. We had irrelevant tests so many times, tests that don't have any sense when it comes to the business requirements that we have for our products. Computational requirements, for example, a lot of companies nowadays, they are also concerned about, the resources they need to have and the budgeting and the capacity they need to have when it comes to AI. If they want to deploy, for example, a custom LLM, they need very hard computational requirements. It's not cheap, it's very costly. And privacy, it's not a thing that they already, everybody is actually, I wouldn't say annoyed, but they don't have the clear answers if they are secure when it comes to use these LLMs publicly. So we have adoption to new workflows. You have a new learning curve for your teams, and we have dependency on the training data. The effectiveness of this they are very dependent on the quality or the diversity of the training data that you use. So, for example, if you have poor or biased data, they can result in inaccurate tests. And making data collection and management a significant challenge. And at the end, we need to interpret all this AI stuff, right? We need to know how these are actually generating, if these tests that are generating these capabilities, the solutions, we need to understand them, we need to interpret them, especially when they fail. We need to understand what was wrong, right? And here it comes to the crafting effective prompts. Now, working with those all AI bots, everything that has to do with natural language, of course, you are not writing so much code as before, especially the engineering departments, or you can write your code, but you can consult all these AI solutions to just make your code more efficient, more robust. But in order to do that, even if you're deploying your own, let's say, MCP servers, we are going to see later, or your own solutions customly, these are trained based on your input data and the training data. The way that you are using them means that you need to know how effectively you can actually use the natural language. So there's a big crafting framework that actually I did a talk last year in a conference. There is a crafting effective prompts framework that it's been out for a couple of years, and it's actually developing different techniques how you can use natural language and prompts in the best of the abilities, because the way that you use the prompts, you have different results each time, and this is actually very important, especially in the QA. This we will see some of the prompts, prompt engineering techniques. We have zero shot, you see here the few shot, the chain of thought, and context, analogy, hybrid. These are actually techniques that have to do how you crafting the prompts to actually query the AI. And we'll see a video next about what it is when we're talking about prompt engineering and why it's needed when it comes to QA, right? So let's see the video. I think it's not playing. Very unfortunate. Yeah, I think it's not playing, but I don't know, maybe something wrong with my link. If we share the presentation, hopefully it's working. But what it's saying here is that this video, nicely, if you get to see this in your free time, it's like a recipe and you have your chef and it's trying to build actually in the restaurant something for your customers. But each time you are putting different analogies in the ingredients, you have a different flavor in the output. So meaning how you are prompting the LLMs, they can produce different results. Even the emotions that you may have, like if you ask something urgently, I need to give me a LinkedIn post urgently because I'm out of job and I need to find a job tomorrow. So this means that you have an emotion, and this emotion actually can be interpreted with a sense of an urgency from the model, and these models can actually interpret different results. So the whole crafting framework says, you need to train yourself with these techniques to make yourself more familiar in order to guide the best results out of the LLM. And it actually uses a way how us, our QA testers, can actually test the output of LLMs and all of these technologies. So crafting the best of the ability in the prompts makes us also super testers, I would say, that we can test all the outputs, because nowadays integrating AI models in any software company, it's a necessity. All the companies are trying to use these technologies, and that's why QA is also adapting to different type of testing around them. So I'll go to the next, which is also, for some reason, it's not playing. Had the video, maybe a connectivity issue, sorry for that. And what's the future? So the future is all about agentic AI, which is, it's a new trend for some people, not so new trend for other people. And how this is compared to Gen AI. So they are referring to a more autonomous, let's say, goal-driven AI systems. They can understand the intent of the user. They can make decisions. They can learn when it comes to changes. They can adapt the testing strategies very, very dynamically. Why it's a game changer when it comes to QA, right? So agentic AI is transforming in different ways. We talked about self-healing tests, which is one thing. Things that are very unstable, we need to become and make it very agnostic of the business changes and the business behaviors. We have the predictive defect detection, another area that a lot of QA people are very keen on understanding. So how to learn by learning historical data. Agentic AI can flag high-risk areas. It can actually suggest preemptive fixes. It can improve the early bug detection, the whole thing of the CFF testing. Real-time monitoring and reporting, faster release cycles. All the time we're seeing the same thing. What we're trying to solve, faster develop your product. It's not something new when it comes to the problems that we're trying to solve. What we want to do is just reduce manual labor and make the QA people focus on learning these technologies at the same time. So in today's landscape, I would say agentic AI is not just an option when it comes to QA. It's actually a necessity. Companies adopting AI, they are trying to do this, as we said, to streamline tasks and drive efficiency. The QA teams are on the front lines of this evolution. We're trying to evolve the way that we integrate AI, and that's why the QA people need to be aware and capable and adapt on all these changes. And the answer is, for some people, is the agentic AI. So it's representing a shift from, let's say, traditional AI models to ones that are actually acts with a purpose, with flexibility, And unlike different, standard AIs, these systems possess a degree of autonomy, right? They don't need to, they can allow them to handle complex tasks without someone driving them at the end of the day. So agentic AI versus Gen AI, they can operate autonomously without human oversight constantly. The Gen AI needs, to have prompt engineering in place. You need your people to query the Gen AI, so they are not acting independently, but they need a human intervention. Agentic AI actively works together toward the defined objective, not so much when it comes to Gen AI. And we have complex decision making, we have environmental perception, adoption and learning, and autonomy. And you'll see you have a better version, let's say, of Gen AI. Now, when it comes to MCP, it's just a way that we imagine how we can actually use different tools and use them with a natural language, like how we can query them to do operations and create our own agentic AI systems, let's say. So it's the model context protocol. It's a shift in the traditional quality assurance methodology. At its core, it's an intelligent framework, right? And you see a lot of companies using and building their own versions of MCPs. So what we're trying to do, they are trying to understand complex software systems. They are trying to generate intelligent solutions and scenarios, possibly in real time, adapting testing strategies and evolving the context all the time. Now, I think everybody is aware what MCP is doing. They are trying to unify the way that we are querying LLMs. So before MCP, if you have different aspects of your system, each aspect was contacting through an API to this. Now with MCP, you have a single point of reference. So you don't need different APIs. Just contact the MCP with natural language, and this will query the LLM in the scene, behind the scene. So MCP is here to stay, yes, but they're evolving. We have the agentic AI, which is actually shaping new tools and methodologies. I don't think the MCP is something new. In a couple of, let's say, months, I would say it will change as a trend. Maybe something better will come in. It's improving the way that we're doing software testing, and it's improving all the development teams every day with this scenario. Some of the examples, for example, we have different tools like Playwright, and we have different versions of MCP. So here we have the cloud, which is fundamentally behind the scenes, our LLM. And we have the MCP server using the Playwright. A lot of software engineers or software test engineers are using MCP nowadays, and they are very keen on understanding how to use this. So the shift to AI with MCP in this particular example, it's much lighter, especially for the QA teams. It's very lightweight, avoids, let's say, the ambiguity of visual models, and it has enhanced the browser automation at its core, and the overhead of interpreting all these web tests runtime. Another case, which is, for example, the accessibility. A lot of companies need to be compliant to accessibility, so we have also a different plugin or a different MCP server. It's just another example. So there are, based on what the thing you are trying to solve, you want to have accessibility compliance, you have your tools internally, but you don't need, you need to speed up the development, so you can develop your own MCP server on that. Yeah, I think we are closing. The future is here. When it comes to MCP, they are very popular, are becoming popular, but they are driving new changes as we speak. There are a lot of game players here, like Anthropic, OpenAI, Amazon. All the time they are producing new capabilities. So gracias. Sorry for, I think I have just 1 minute before closing. You can scan me here, find me in LinkedIn. We can talk offline. Of course, I can learn also from the audience as well in different aspects of problems in their day-to-day, and we can, foster this paradigm shift, let's say. Thank you.
Okay. Ioannis, what a wonderful speaking. Thank you so much for such an insight presentation. We are running out of time,
Yeah.
so we are going to maybe ask only one question, and please be briefed because
Yeah, sure.
we have many other people that need to talk. So I'm going to go with one, and we'll see. What key difference do you see between traditional test automation approaches and using MCP with modern tools like Selenium or Playwright?
The difference here, as I said, and I will be fast, is the way that you are using the MCP. MCP is just a trend right now in how we can actually use behind the scenes Selenium, Playwright, or other tools with natural language, with actually crafting effective prompts that can actually be used from people that may be not so technical, and we don't maybe need to develop more code nowadays. So with the use of the craft prompting, effective prompts, this whole development around Playwright and Selenium is shaping and shifting the way that, you know, more non-technical people can use, like Selenium and Playwright, which for them they had a very, very big learning curve in the past, right? And this is evolving. So yeah, that would be my answer.
Okay, we are very grateful, Ioannis, for your time and expertise. It's been an honor having you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.